Hi, Algebra 2. This is a video of the homework answers for lesson 13.1. So we're starting statistics here. And basically the first unit was just going over different kinds of statistical studies that there are. So question 1 says, which of the following research questions would involve collecting data through a survey? And hopefully you got choice 3, calling people on the telephone to see if they will be voting in an upcoming election. So you're taking a survey, you're asking people questions. Choice 1, watching people exit a grocery store to see the percent who use reusable bags. That would be an observational study. You're just observing, you're not influencing, you're not asking any questions, you're not, doing anything like that. You're just observing. 2, assigning people to 2 different groups to see the effect of a particular amount of sleep. That would be an experiment. So in an experiment, you're actually actively trying to do something where one group might have something going on, another group might have a different thing going on. And 4, dropping salt cubes into 2 different liquids to determine which dissolves faster. That's another experiment. So choice 2, which of the following cases would an observational study be necessary as compared to experimental? So remember, in an observational study, you're just observing. You're not assigning subjects into groups. You're not controlling what's going on. You're just observing. So choice 2, the study how educational levels affect median household income. Okay, the other ones are all experiments that you're doing. You're controlling something that's going on. 3, in an experimental study, a lab wanted to divide volunteers into 2 groups to determine the effect of a particular phone app to help people make more punctual or on time. The 50 volunteers in the study will be assigned to either a group of 25 who use the app for a week or a group of 25 who do not use the app. The participants were asked to come to the lab to receive the app or not at 10 a.m. on Monday. Answer the following questions. Why would those performing the study not want to assign the participants in the 2 treatment groups based on who showed up to the study first? Remember, this is an app about people being on time or punctual. So the people who show up first may naturally be more punctual than those who show up later. So that would introduce bias. And bias is something that you have to be careful of when you're doing an experiment. 4, if you were trying to conduct a survey of political preferences for likely voters in an upcoming election and decided to dial 1,000 randomly generated landline phone numbers, not cell, why might this still introduce bias into the sampling? The fact is, many people today only use cell phones. So if you're using landline phone numbers, you're getting only a certain population. Those who answer a landline phone may fall into specific categories. Example, younger people tend to only have cell phones, so that they would not be included in the survey. 5, a yearbook staff has designed a survey to learn student opinions on how the yearbook could be improved for this year. If they want to distribute the survey to 100 students and obtain the most reliable data, they should survey. And choice D, every 3rd student arriving at school in the morning. If you surveyed people who were sent to the office, those might be students who only got in trouble. Students who enter the library might be more inclined to study more than an average student. Every student who enters the gym for a basketball game might be more into sports. So you just want to get a random sampling. Number 6, Will is thinking about running for the junior class president. He wants to know if he has enough support to earn more than 50% of the votes. What's the population? Those would be all the people voting, and I assume that would just be the people in the junior class. Is it possible to poll the whole population? Well, yes, it depends on the size of the school. If you have a large school, you might want to do just a sample. So which of the following would be the best way to select a representative sample? And I chose B, poll every junior entering the lunchroom 4th period. Oh, actually, that's wrong because that says every junior. I didn't realize that. It would be choice D then. So let me fix that. I didn't see the word every in that. Okay, so it's not D. I don't have a black pen. It's D. Assign every member of the junior class a number from 1 to 29. So basically use a random number generator. That would be the best way. 7, which task is not a component of an observational study? A researcher decides who will make up the sample. In an observation study, you are not picking the people, you're not assigning the people, you're not doing anything to influence what's going on at all. Okay, so 7 is choice A. 8, a survey completed at a large university asked 2,000 students to estimate the average number of hours they spent studying each week. Every 10th student entering the library was surveyed. The data showed that the mean number of hours that students spent studying was 15.7 hours per week. Which characteristic of the survey could create a bias in the results? D, the method of choosing the students who were surveyed. Students going to the library might study more than a typical student. And 9, Howard collected fish eggs from a pond behind his house so he could determine whether sunlight had an effect on how many of the eggs hatched. After he collected the eggs, he divided them into 2 tanks. He put both tanks outside near the pond, and he covered one of the tanks with a box to block out all sunlight. State whether Howard's investigation was an example of a controlled experiment, an observation, or a survey. Justify your response. This would be a controlled experiment. Remember, in a controlled experiment, the person doing the study or the experiment purposely attempts to influence the results. He was not just observing. He was controlling which of the tanks got sunlight and which didn't. So by doing this, this was a controlled experiment. Okay, and those are the answers for the lesson 1 homework.